Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Three Principles Global Community webinar. The Three Principles Global Community, also known as 3PGC, is a nonprofit organization that's committed to bringing an understanding of the three principles to people throughout the world. Today, we have Dr. Mark Howard with us. Dr. Howard is a licensed psychologist who's located in Belmont, California. Dr. Howard is internationally recognized as one of the professionals bringing the three principles of mind, thought, and consciousness to psychology and related fields. He was introduced to the principles in 1982. For the past 36 years, Dr. Howard has been teaching private clients, families, business professionals, mental health practitioners, and life coaches about these principles. He has mentored many professionals to develop impactful three principles practices. Dr. Howard has co-authored a published research paper about the validity of the three principles in treatment outcome. And in 2008, Dr. Howard was awarded the Outstanding Career Service Award by Santa Clara County Psychological Association for bringing the principles to Santa Clara County. And I will post Dr. Howard's website underneath the YouTube recording. So if you want to get in touch with him, you'll be able to do that. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. I think I last did a webinar, like about 3 years ago. So it's good to be back, and hopefully I've seen a little more since then, and can help with today's webinar. I also think, if you'd like to visit my website, I've done 3 years of monthly teleseminars that people find really helpful. So there's a teleseminar tab on my website, and it's free to download and listen. And we've had some really wonderful teleseminars, and people have joined in and shared some insights that have been really helpful. So I'm really happy to be here. I chose this topic today because, in the many years that I've listened to Sydney Banks and have met with him and have attended seminars that are now available, like the Long Beach lectures and the Hawaii lectures and so forth. You know how it is when you're hearing him speak about this understanding and he's speaking spiritually. You don't really get an understanding for that as you're listening. You get a feel for it, which percolates inside, and then you find your own insights and realizations. But he really helped me when he'd always say, it's just love and understanding. And I sit there listening, I say, oh man, I can do that. I can easily, I know where to go for that. So it was, so over the years, that understanding of the deeper meaning of that really has evolved in me. And I wanted to share with you my more recent thoughts about that. Because, if you listen to Sydney Banks, he says things that look like really practical things to do. But what you want to realize is that they're always coming from a deeper spiritual place in him. And so it's not just that you can do love and understanding, but you can actually exist in that. And I didn't get that at first. I mean, it was really helpful for me because while I was waiting for his spiritual principles to resonate with me and come to mind, love and understanding is something that I could actually practically do. But I've been finding there's something deeper in these words. And so I just wanted to share that with you today. And I love being interactive. I really love hearing from you and seeing how we can talk together. So I'm going to talk for a bit and then really would love to open it up and hear what questions you might have or what you'd like to share with me, and we can just talk together and learn. Maybe we'll see some things new together. So So my so what I mean by love and understanding is something we exist in is that that's truly the energy we are. And the what's called love is really a state of consciousness where it doesn't have an object. Like when you're in that pure feeling of love, or that what I might call a state of consciousness, you're not thinking about yourself at all. You don't really um, are aware of you. You're just you're just encapsulated in a beautiful feeling that is love. It's well-being. It's happiness. It's a pure energy um, that we are. And when you find that, when you have a moment of that, you're not thinking of yourself. It's what Sid said earlier about no thought. And it really is. It isn't like you're thinking, oh man, this is so good. I can't wait to, also get to some Rocky Road ice cream. Or it isn't about, I love my spouse. It isn't about, I love my life. It really isn't personal thinking, if you want to call it that. There is a consciousness where you just can experience your spiritual energy that is love. It's just pure love. And, I've talked about it at times with Sid's words of contentment. Again, contentment, just like this consciousness of love, is just this beautiful, warm feeling. And you have no thought about you. You don't think you're lacking anything, and you don't think you need anything more. I mean, I think you're around because you're still alive in a physical form, but uh, you don't care about like Mark Howard or whoever you are. You're just so in these beautiful feelings, and you feel like a lot of times people will say, "Well, I feel like I'm home." So I wanted to just share that the love part of what Sid's talking about, love and understanding, is the pure existence of having a moment of your life where you drop into a state of consciousness where you're just engulfed in the feeling of love and well-being. And it has no form to it. You see? It has no form to it. Sid talked about that too, and he says it's so hard to explain um, this what he found. It's so hard to explain what that was because it isn't in a form. It's just this feeling of essence of pure love. So I moved from the sense of, oh, I can do love. If I'm troubled, I know how to go back and find love for people around me, love for being alive. So that helped. It really did help to know where to look. But he meant something deeper. Sometimes you'll hear him talk about pure love. And to me, this is what I think he meant. And it occurred to me after a telephone call with him in which I left the call, I sat down and I just was engulfed in this beautiful feeling of love. Really. And in there, it wasn't about me. I can't say that enough because I also talk about listening to your clients in this state as well, beyond your own personal thinking. Now, the thing about it is, we have to get into life. It's like, it's nice to be in a place of pure love, but, you have to go about doing your day. You may have to cook dinner or, you might have to get to work. And so you have to then think again. But the thinking is the feeling of love, the thinking that comes to you from being immersed in this spiritual essence of what we are, which I'm calling love and what Sydney calls love stays with you. So it starts to, so as you think your way back into life from this beautiful feeling that you just dropped into or your consciousness moved to, um, um, you're in the feeling of love. So this is really funny. This experience for me for the first time after this call from Sydney Banks, and I was just purely in this feeling of love, and I could stay there. You know, I would love to stay there, but I had to get to work. So it occurred to me to, you know, start thinking again. And so I think, well, I got to get to work. And, but I'm in this beautiful feeling as I, you know, start to move through my house to get to my car. And Kathy Casey calls me. And, you know, still in this beautiful feeling, you know, and so she's calling me and I say, Kathy, I'm so grateful that you're my friend. I really love knowing you. And I'm talking to her from this feeling of love. And she says, Mark, did you just smoke some pot or what? You know, and I think, you know, so, but from this feeling comes the many forms that of love that comes to us through the power of thought. So pure energy manifests in this way of this energy of love. But in order to live it, it must come through thought, right? It must. So you get many forms of love, like tenderness, like generosity, like compassion, like gratitude, um, uh, and many of the other ways that you express love through this energy that you are manifesting through our gift of thought. And so we live in those different forms. I see it when, you know, the couples that come to see me in my office, you know, once they drop into this feeling of love, you see the expression of tenderness. So they, you know, have been having a tremendous amount of difficulty, and all of a sudden they drop into that feeling, and they start holding hands. And or they get into this really funny thing about they really are so grateful for one another. So they're talking to me about how one of them really helped them out, and they say, thank you, dear, for that. And the other person is in this feeling of gratitude, and so that person will say, no, thank you. And then the other person say, no, thank you. You know, and it's just this ongoing expression of this deep feeling of love that is coming out as generosity. So in that feeling, you know, Sid has also shared with us, there's wisdom. And that wisdom gets expressed to us as, you know, seeing the life around us through the lens of love and understanding. And you see something new about how to be in your life, and how you can express in your relationship, friends or family, or your love relationship, manifest your own insights into how this feeling manifests through you, through the wisdom that is part of our essence. So I'll tell you a story what I mean by this, so it makes some sense, hopefully. One day, one day my wife and I were talking about something we wanted to do this day, and it kind of got in an argument. And we went into separate rooms, and it just occurred to me, as it must occur to you as you have the understanding of Sydney's teachings and the principles. It just occurs to you, oh my goodness, you know, your thinking's off. That's how it comes to me. Oh, Mark, your thinking went south, or you just got caught up, man. And again, you know, as that may occur to you, you'll see that the minute that occurs to you, you get a way to take care of yourself. So for me, it's kind of like, well, quiet down, settle down. And I just got this feeling, this feeling of love for my wife. And then this thing came to me, this insight came to me, because I had just at that time, I had just started to go to seminars. That's Sydney Banks was providing, was presenting out here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I started to go to meetings with a small group of us that were trying to, learn more about this understanding here in this area. So it was 6 months into this, and my wife was kind enough to let me take weekends to go to these seminars or go to these meetings on a Thursday evening and take care of our 2-year-old son. And so that appreciation came to me as I dropped that, how right I was thinking that got us into this argument. And then came something I'd never seen before. And that was, it came to me this way. She doesn't know that you've really changed. She could look at you just getting angry as, oh, there he was. He's coming back again. All these months of him doing well and all of him going to these seminars, it doesn't mean anything, because here he is again. He's back to being this kind of angry man. You see, people do that. People think that way around people's changes. And I realized, oh my God, she doesn't know that this now for me was just a blip on the screen. I don't live that anymore. I'm not that person. So that all came to me. And then it came to me, you got to go tell her that. See, you got to go tell her you're a new person so she doesn't misunderstand. So I went and I sat and talked with her, and it brought us deeper. It brought us closer. Now, this story isn't about me. I'm not trying to tell you something about so much about me. It's about when when this feeling of love manifests, there's the wisdom that comes with it, and it occurs this way. And it brings you something that's new for you, that you can take into living your life at this higher level of understanding of love. You see, because if you go to any book on marriages or marital therapy, there's a popular book out now about researchers. They're well known. I think they're in Washington or Oregon. I forgot their names right now, but they've done tons of research on marriage and relationships. But you won't find, you need to tell your partner, help your partner not have a misunderstanding about you, and really know where you're changed, that you've changed. There's nowhere I've read that's a thing to do. I hope I'm saying this well. I feel like I'm tongue-tied about it, but I want you to see that what we are is just so magnificent that when you drop into these feelings we're talking about of love, the wisdom brings you beyond what's out there, and you see new. And it was so powerful that's what I talk to couples about. That's something I should suggest to couples when it's right to suggest something, that they might want to talk to one another this way. Anyhow, so for me, that's a bit of what's new about the love part of what it's talking about around love and understanding. Now, it's not separate. I'm just in the talk today separating love and the understanding part. But when you're in the feeling of love, you have understanding as well. And you see, it's another aspect of this energy, is that you immediately have understanding of life and of other people. But what I love about the understanding part is and Sydney's shared this on some of those seminars that are available, the video for streaming video and the DVDs, as well as some audios. He said, you know, we're all the same. We're all the same, using thought and consciousness to create, I'm using my words now, our reality in the moment. And that has really awakened in me a deep understanding for life and other people. Now, it helps me. This talk about love and understanding helps us. And then when we live in it, it helps other people around us. But this understanding is to see, in my words, that all of us are this spiritual energy. All of us are mind. All of us are connected to mind. All of life is connected to, we're connected to all of life. Now, it doesn't look that way because when we form physically, when we come into the physical world, we're different because that's the laws of nature, right? Not only that, though, we use thought differently. We've all been conditioned, and we've all learned different ways of thinking about life. And so when Sid shared that, you know, we start to see that we're all, although we are all the same and connected to one another, we're thinking differently from one another every moment of life. And that's a beautiful thing about life, because everybody's got a free will to think any way they want to think. But you want to have understanding for that, you see, because the understanding for that moves you beyond the personal world to the impersonal. See, people are only operating with you or acting with you or behaving toward you or with you at the level of the quality of their thinking. They can't do anything other than that. And so are you, of course. But having an understanding of that helps us see the impersonal nature of this. You see, that's what it means by seeing the formless or the spiritual. It's impersonal. It's not personal. People aren't like saying, oh, you know what? I want to have a really low level of thinking when I'm with so-and-so. You know, when I go see Sam, I want to get in a really low level of thinking. You know, they're not, you know, into that. It doesn't happen that way. It just, no one knows how that happens, but sometimes you're with people and they're in different qualities of thinking. And then that, you see that, because that must be expressed. Thought must be expressed. That's what happens. So it comes out as their behavior. It comes out as the way they talk to you. All of this is really just the manifestation of the level of thinking they're in. You see, the level of consciousness they're in. That's all that's going on. And that understanding is the beauty of what Sid is pointing us to when he says it's love and understanding. When you have understanding like that, it takes care of you, and you have more love for the people you come across in your life daily. Like if you have understanding going into the grocery store, that everybody there is the manifestation of thought and consciousness at different levels of consciousness, you can enjoy being in the grocery store with people all over. You know, you have people who are disturbed because you run your cart in front of them, and you have people that give you that allow you to go ahead of them. So you see all these manifestations of, you know, how thought plays out. And if you have understanding for that, it's impersonal. You see, you're just kind of hanging out, and you just can see people operating from all levels throughout a grocery store. But you're in this feeling that we're calling love and understanding. So it takes care of you. And so when it takes care of you, it manifests in that way. You are thoughtful in the moment. You're in the grocery store, you're thoughtful, you're generous, you're understanding. So so I hope that's making sense. That's what I wanted to share about today, about love and understanding, and what I'm seeing new for that. People don't really see that they can't do anything other than whatever they're thinking in the moment. People really don't have that understanding part for themselves or other people. They are affected by these ideas that we should know better. We should do better than what we're thinking in the moment. But people don't even see that they're just thinking in a moment. That's the first thing, of course, But for us, in our conversation today, we know something about thoughts. So I'm talking to you a little at a different level. But really, people don't see that they can only do whatever they're thinking in the moment. And that's how we are. That's how we are spiritually. That's how the principles operate. We can only experience our moment given the way thought and consciousness are manifesting through us. So people don't really have the deeper understanding for themselves and others. They're always thinking about it in terms of, well, it could be better, and that may be true. It may be a way of learning how we can change, is to see, it might be, I could have handled that better. But you want to see, if you look at yourself or other people in terms of handling that better, you want to see that if you've been able to think that you should have handled it better, you've already changed the thinking you were in. And so now you see it in terms of, well, I could have thought this way about it. But you can't hold that against yourself, because all we can do is think at the level of consciousness we're in that moment. Now that gives me a lot of freedom to just be myself. And it gives me, again, another way to be understanding and accepting of the people around me. And rather than operating from a misunderstanding of why people are doing the things they're doing, I can live with an understanding for people doing the things they're doing. And with that understanding, I can see that they are the same as me. I can see that they're expressing they're expressing themselves through the principles, just like I do. Now, again, that doesn't mean that you do something with that. See, again, the understanding of principles doesn't move to, well, what do I do now? Okay, now I should never tell anybody, stop talking to me that way, or I should never, whatever. The principles and this understanding does not talk about what to do. It can't. It's spiritual. How's it going to know what you're doing? It's like, so, but you can see for yourself with your own wisdom what makes sense for you. So again, if you have understanding that people are acting in a harmful way, and you know it's coming because of the level of thinking they're in, you could have understanding that they're in some really troubled thoughts. They're insecure or scared or frightened. You could understand that, and that takes care of you, and it allows you to see them with understanding. But it may still make sense to you to stop that. It doesn't mean that you ignore, that you deny um, what you're seeing through thought. You're given the gift of thought to see life, you know? So again, you know, if it comes to you that you want to intervene with someone's behavior, or you want to talk to someone about behavior that, even though you know that that behavior is coming from a certain quality of thinking, you have thought to see that that is something that you're noticing, you see. So understanding that people's behaviors uh, are the result of thought and consciousness has nothing to say on what you do about it. That's up to you and your own wisdom. Well, I feel like I've talked a lot, and I'm hoping it's been helpful. But again, I do want to be interactive, and I'm looking at the time, so I want to open it up and just hear from you what your thinking is. Did this make sense to you? Any questions come to mind? Um, and anything in general about this understanding that you might want to ask about, I'd be willing to also share with you my thoughts on that. Anybody have anything to share?
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Um, I've spoke to several different principals, facilitators about mental health.
Mental health?
Yeah. And obviously when you're caught up in a thought storm, there is nothing you can do. Nothing at all. And I have quite a serious habitual behaviour of avoidance because I don't want to have a panic attack.
I didn't hear that. You don't want to have what?
A panic attack?
Uh-huh, yeah.
And I've been agoraphobic for 20 years. And I come across the principles about a year ago, just over a year ago. And it's slowly starting to get into me now.
Oh, great.
It's really, I go on, I walk about a minute or two away from my house. But that's massive progress because I could get out.
No kidding.
But I still have this massive fear of the panic, even though I know scientifically where it is, spiritually where it is, and I still have this fear of panicking and this habit of avoidance. And I'm not quite sure whether I need to do something.
Well, I think that you already have changed.
Definitely.
You see, so like for you to say you get caught up in a thought storm, that's a recognition that's already talking. I could already see there's a shift in understanding for you.
Yeah.
People don't know that. People don't have a way of saying, oh my God, I'm really caught up in my habits of thought, So you being able to tell us that, you already have a level of understanding. And then if you can do some walking outside of your home, your thinking has already shifted, you see?
Definitely.
So, you see, for you to walk outside of your home, you have to be in different thinking. You have to be. So I would just continue to um, uh, stay open to learning more. That's all I would
Definitely.
do. I wouldn't worry about it. Don't
Okay.
worry if you're still thinking about whether or not a panic attack's down the horizon. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Uh, because you see, the minute you do, what happens?
You go into your
Yeah,
thought storm.
yeah, yeah, you drop out of a nice feeling, you know. So
Yeah.
a lot of, see, people don't see this, you know. Like, people don't see that it's the nice feeling you get to, that's what you're looking for. So people say, well, okay, oh, I have a nice feeling, but what happens here now? What if this, you know? And they think their way out of a nice feeling. And we want to start to begin to realize that when we're having a nice feeling, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing more to do. Just start to expand that, expand that. Don't think your way out of it right away. So when couples first start to get tender with one another, and I point that out, I said, did you just see that moment of tenderness? That's what you're looking for. They'll say, well, okay, but what about this? You know, right? But they'll say, well, what about our next argument? Say, well, don't go think about your next argument. Just just begin to live in those moments when you're feeling tender, because
Yeah.
that's what you're looking for. You see? Now, now I'm not saying anything about you. It's just what happens. We get thoughts, but when you start worrying about the next panic attack, it moves you away from feeling this nice feeling. And now you're in this worry.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll see more. You'll see
Thank
more. You really will, because you're on the road.
Bless you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah. You're welcome. Anybody else have something to share or a question?
I'm so grateful for this understanding. When Sid talked about the oneness and the innocence, the psychological innocence. Now, when I'm in a group of people, it's so obvious what's going on. Like, somebody will come into the group who's in a lower frame of mind because of that connection with everybody. It's like we're in this big vat of chemicals, and the person in a lower state of consciousness can set up, like a random particle can set off a chain reaction that doesn't usually end well. And the person who's in a positive mood can come into the group and act like leavening, and everybody all of a sudden feels in a better, higher state of consciousness. So I'm so grateful to the Three Principles community for helping me understand it, because I mean, I've been the random particle that set off the chain reaction, and I've also been, and it's so easy now to understand the dynamics between people, and when we allow people to be what they are and just not react.
Yes, the understanding I'm talking to early on in our organizing to try to bring Sid's teachings in the world, we talked about it as, like you said, psychological innocence. And what that's about is just seeing this understanding that people are operating from the way they're thinking, and they can't do anything other than that. Now, that's spiritual and psychological innocence. Again, it's not ignoring that uh, we come to see that some people are really doing some hurtful things, but it's still understanding that they are us at a certain level of thinking, and that really changes the way we live with people. Again, it's not a perfect 100, I'm not 24/7 living this understanding, but once you touch your own your own realizations for this, it occurs to you. It comes back. Oh, wait a minute. Let's quiet down and come back to understanding that, everybody's just acting from the level of thinking they're in. Thanks for sharing, Marty. Anybody else? I mean, it's anything you'd like to talk about? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ellen. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Ellen.
So I just wanted to say that as soon as you talked about understanding, it just expand my understanding of understanding expanded.
Yeah.
I think I previously saw it as more of a mental, intellectual understanding, and now I just see it as understanding happens through thought, through feeling, through everything. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Yeah, it is. It's a spiritual understanding. It's spiritual.
Yeah.
Because it's really seeing that we're all spiritual. We're all mind. See, that's the depth of where Sid was coming from when he talked about understanding. And once you see that people are using these spiritual principles to live their moment at the level they're thinking, it deepens your knowing of what understanding is.
Yeah, and I just love that it's so ever expansive for me. And I also have a question for you. So I don't have a good time frame, but somewhere like into after about a year and a half of my exposure to this, I was surprised by my own experience of a wider range of emotions that I had.
Mm.
So, I mean, I kind of have this like story going on that I was so fearful and I did such a good job of protecting myself from experience of experiencing or having any thought that was just 1 degree left, to the side of negativity or fear or worry, not worry, but just negativity. And now with this understanding, I experience like the full range, and I just feel like there's something more for me to understand around that, so that so that I can be helpful in sharing it with clients.
You mean the full range? What do you mean? Like you?
Like I've had depression that I never had before this understanding. Like the first time it happened, it was just like, what? I have this understanding, and now I have like dark thoughts that I never had before. I see now, that I'm just allowing the full range, knowing that it's transient, so that, and knowing in the depths of my soul that I'm not any of those feelings.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
But why am I? But in sharing this understanding, I think that part of me still questions, like, why would I have such darkness?
Well, I love that you could lessen the energy it takes to keep yourself from having a wide range of human experiences. That's really nice to get to.
I think it was a lot of hard work, though.
Oh, of course. It's a lot of hard work but we're frightened. And when you have been able to find understanding with what you just shared, that you're more than those feelings and that they are transient, the minute that touched you, and you saw something that you're sharing with us today this way, it gave you freedom. See, it gave you freedom. And that's what Sid says, you know, you get freedom to think any way you want to think. So, I don't know, maybe you're making up for lost time, you know, like you protected yourself from dark thoughts for so long. Now, you know, they're kind of, all that accumulation is, I'm joking.
Yeah. Because
I wanted to share something and I made a joke instead, but I want to share this. Somebody asked something about like that for Sid, and he said it's a mystery how thoughts form. And he said something that it's on the Long Beach lectures, if you have a chance to listen to them. He said, it's a mystery, but you learn to live with the mystery. Like, you just live with it. It's just a mystery. It's no big deal. You don't try figuring out things like that. You just live with what you have started to see.
It's interesting that you say that, because when I was asking the question, I was like, why do I need to know this?
That would have been a better answer for me.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what you want to start to see, you know, that once you start going in that direction, you live at that level, you know, that level of concern, or why do I still have this, or that takes you and you stay there, rather than, like you saying, it's just transient. And you know, maybe this in the later in your day, you'll be at another level. So once we start trying to figure things out, you want to just see that it keeps us there. And when we're there, we're not going to have anything new. We're not going to get to anything new, because we're just staying at this level. And maybe it even takes us down more because we start worrying. But if we know to leave ourselves alone, answers come.
Yeah.
Like,
I got more answers now. So thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks for the link through Long Beach. What I've really found is that listening to Sid now, like listening to Sid, I get, you know, I mean, I've listened over and over and over, but listening at another level of consciousness is a totally different experience. So thank you all. Thank you all for your sharing. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. We have time for one more person if they have a question or something you'd like to share.
Nancy, I unmuted you.
Yeah, let's see. I'm on my iPad, and I'm not usually on an iPad on these calls. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Yeah, I just wanted to share that it was very helpful to me when you were expressing about the impersonal, that it's impersonal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where I've struggled a lot, and especially when it's someone really close to me, of being able to see the thinking and it's all thought, but it's and recognizing what they're saying is actually just because that's what they're thinking, and it's actually not real, it's not true, it's not about me. And so when you said it's impersonal, that was very helpful.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and I've known that on some level, but really seeing that inside myself, and seeing when I guess what I do is I have thoughts that it is personal. so just the conversation today is helpful.
Well, that's wonderful. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And when you move to that sense of how other people are with you, it gives you love, and it gives you love and understanding. On my teleseminar this month on desirelessness, there's a woman who shares late in the hour. And she talks about this feeling that we're calling impersonal, and how it changed, and having understanding for her husband being caught in his thinking, and how it changed the way she was with him, and without him needing to change. And the understanding allowed her to fall, to have deeper love and understanding from him, because it's impersonal. See, if you see that it's all spiritual energy manifesting through thought and consciousness, so it is impersonal, you know. So but that's all it is. Now again, your wisdom will again come to you, and as you've had this little shift there and seeing it impersonal, your wisdom will tell you how to use that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. How are we doing, Bonnie?
Yeah, I'm not sure what your time frame is, but if anyone else has a question, I can stay around for it.
Okay, let's go. If there's one more, let's go for one more, and then we'll close today.
Hi, Mark. I just want to thank you so much for all you're doing, and you personally have had a major effect on my life and how I share this. When I first got started, I thought, well, I don't know enough to go out and share this. And after listening to one of your talks, and yeah, in one of the breakout sessions you had at the conference, I guess it was 2014, that really kind of allowed me to go out and, you know, I know something, so you share what you know.
Yeah.
Just show up and, you know, are open and listen, and then something comes to you. And
Yeah.
it's amazing. That's really the way it works, and it's just wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing, and just really appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome, Bob. And that's such a wonderful point to make, because you know, we all do know something. We've been blessed to have a glimpse of this understanding and the principles. And you can talk to people about it. Just be yourself and talk to people about it, and have a conversation and just listen to it. Now with all these videos out there, a lot of us think that, oh man, we got to wait till we know more in order to teach like so and so. But that's not really the case, because what you have to share isn't so much the words that you're sharing, it's the feeling in you for what you found. It's that feeling from where you're sharing. That's what hits people. So I'm glad that you shared that, Bob. That's a wonderful point for everybody. And that happened with me. I had one sentence to share with people, and I had 7 hours of clients, and I'm used to doing all this other work, and I just couldn't do it anymore. But I had only one sentence. And here I am, this professional. I have one sentence, but people loved it. My clients loved it. And we had this, if there's nothing on the line about, oh, I got to get it right. If that's not on the line, you just talk. And you just talk together about what you've seen. Hey, I've seen something that's really going to be helpful. I think it's better than anything we've ever talked about before. Here's what it is. What do you think of it? Oh, yeah, well, and then you're off in a conversation, and then you will see more. So if Sid said something that's really helpful here, and then we'll stop. He said, if you keep what you know to yourself, you are agreeing with the level of consciousness of the world. You're letting that live. He didn't say it this way. That's what I thought he said. But do you see that? If you See, if you don't share what you've seen, then you're in agreement with the level of consciousness around you. The other thing he said was, when truth is spoken, so when you share what you've seen, every living soul hears it. Now, again, people may not operate like they're hearing it, but that's the truth. So when you share what you've known, remember, it's not so much getting the words right, it's sharing what you know from that place in you. And in that place in you, that's what people get, you see. And when they get that, they will love to talk with you about it. Well, this has been wonderful. Bonnie, thank you for your help with this. It's been wonderful to be here with you. And, post me something on my website. There's a contact tab where you can just drop me a line or email me. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Really love the way you ended this. And just for everybody who is live or watching recording, the next webinar is on November 14th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with Andy Winter. So hopefully you can join us live. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.